New York Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo apologized for his behavior after two women accused him of harassment and a third one alleged an unwanted advance, saying he didn't know he was making anyone feel uncomfortable while rejecting any calls to resign. Speaking publicly for the first time in more than a week, Cuomo pleaded with the New Yorkers to wait for the Attorney General to issue a report on the matter before forming an opinion and insisted that he was unaware that his behavior had upset anyone. Cuomo used the news conference spotlight in an effort to push back against calls from him to resign. This is a complete body language analysis, and if you want to download my ebook of body language tips, you can use the link in the description. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and I want you to uncover the secrets that people try to hide from you. First of all, you see him assume a protective gesture with his right hand covering his left.
Let me make an unrelated announcement if I can.
Since his left hand represents his emotional side, he's trying to hide his emotions at that moment. He presses his lips and shows contempt in a clear display of disagreeing of having to say what he's about to say.
I want to address the recent allegations that have been made against me.
You see that the hand on chest when referring against me is out of sync. Even if he's reading the whole apology, you can see that his body shows signs of distress. This is reinforced by the anger displayed on his face.
Now, the lawyers say I shouldn't say anything when you have a pending review until that review is over. I understand that. I'm a lawyer too.
He shows a condescending gesture when he says that he already knows that he shouldn't make any statement before the review. Condescending gestures are not something that you expect on an apology, so that's a contradiction. Notice that he wets his lips. And in fact, this is a display that you can see most of the time, but in Cuomo's case, he always does it before saying something that is uncomfortable to him.
I fully support a woman's right to come forward. And I think it should be encouraged in every way.
He tries to do a reassuring gesture with his hand, but instead comes off as dismissive, like this doesn't matter much.
I now understand that I acted in a way that made people feel uncomfortable.
But he denies with his head.
It was unintentional.
This is when his voice loses amplitude and starts to break.
I feel awful about it, and frankly, I am embarrassed by it.
But his intonation is still the same, so he's not really feeling at that moment. He's breaking his voice on purpose to look more convincing. Notice that he says, "Frankly, I'm embarrassed." But the left half of his face actually shows a smile. That's a huge dissonance and shows his actual feelings.
But that's the truth.
Right after saying, "That's the truth," he presses his lips. He's not being sincere at that moment.
But this is what I want you to know, and I want you to know this from me directly. I never touched anyone inappropriately.
And I want you to know, but he presses his lips and closes his eyes at the same time. He's regretting that. He doesn't want this to be known. Notice that at this point, he's tilting his head to his left, protecting his emotional side.
I never touched anyone inappropriately.
Here he shows another contempt smile. He doesn't want to say what he's saying. Now, notice that in the following 15 seconds, he doesn't have any particular display. I'll tell you what that means.
I never knew at the time that I was making anyone feel uncomfortable. I never knew at the time I was making anyone feel uncomfortable.
That means that he was actually telling the truth in those 15 seconds. He did not think he was making someone feel uncomfortable. And notice the use of the word feel. If you say making someone feel uncomfortable, you're implying that it could have been unintentional. But in fact, he made someone uncomfortable, period. He uses the word feel to water down the statement.
Get the facts, please, before forming an opinion.
He shows rapid blinking when he talks about the facts. He's anxious, and I should mention that his blinking frequency all along the statement has been through the roof, almost 1 blink per second.
I'm sorry for whatever pain I caused anyone. I never intended it.
Right at the end, his emotions get the best of him, and he shows a single shoulder shrug when he says he never intended all this. Notice that right at the end, when he thinks that the camera is no longer recording, he shows a final display of anger. When you really apologize, you have another attitude. You feel regret, maybe sadness, maybe embarrassment. But if you show condescending gestures, contempt, and a lot of anger, people will know that you're not being sincere. Now it's your turn to comment. What do you think of Andrew Cuomo's apology? And who would you like to see analyzed next? Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my body language analysis and tips. See you next time.